The Labour Party is spiralling into chaos, and Keir Starmer has found himself grappling with an avalanche of crises, each more catastrophic than the last. The economy is tanking, Rachel Reeves is under fire for her disastrous handling of the nation's finances, MPs are abandoning ship, and Starmer's leadership is being questioned from all sides. It's like watching a slow-motion car crash, except the wreckage is the future of the Labour Party and the livelihoods of millions of Britons. Rachel Reeves, once hailed as the economic brain of Labour, now looks less like a visionary and more like someone who couldn't balance pocket change. The UK's economic woes are mounting, and Reeves' so-called solutions seem to be making things worse. Growth is stagnant, barely a blip on the radar, and inflation is still squeezing households dry. Experts are throwing around the dreaded term stagflation, a nightmare scenario where the economy remains stuck in neutral while the cost of living skyrockets. It's a death spiral for any government, and Reeves seems to have her foot firmly on the accelerator. Her answer to this crisis? Tax hikes. Because nothing says economic recovery like taking more money out of the pockets of struggling businesses and families. It's absurd. National insurance contributions are up, capital gains tax has risen, and even farmers are being hit. Reeves has somehow managed to alienate nearly every demographic in one fell swoop. Instead of encouraging growth, she's choking the life out of the economy, and the public is furious. Businesses are cutting back on hiring, pensioners are outraged, and even typically loyal Labour voters are questioning whether Reeves is fit for the job. The financial markets are responding accordingly. Government bond yields are soaring, signalling a complete lack of confidence in Reeves' ability to manage the economy. This isn't just bad optics, it's a flashing red warning sign that Labour's economic credibility is in free fall. And yet, Reeves is doubling down, insisting that her growth plan is the right path forward. It's like watching someone drive blindly toward a cliff while insisting they know a shortcut. The bond market doesn't lie, and right now, it's screaming that Reeves is the wrong person for the job. Inside the Labour Party, whispers are growing louder. Names like Pat McFadden and Wes Streeting are being floated as potential replacements for Reeves. Starmer is caught in a no-win situation. Keeping Reeves in her role risks further damage to Labour's already fragile reputation on the economy, but sacking her would be an admission of failure, a public acknowledgement that he made the wrong choice. Starmer's leadership is already under scrutiny, and this crisis is testing his ability to make tough decisions. Every moment of hesitation only fuels the perception that he's weak and indecisive. The parallels to past Labour economic disasters are impossible to ignore. Stagflation under Wilson and Callaghan in the 1970s. The financial crisis under Gordon Brown. And now Reeves is writing her own chapter in Labour's book of economic incompetence. Starmer promised a new direction for Labour, but under his leadership, the party seems to be repeating the same mistakes that have haunted it for decades. His insistence on standing by Reeves, despite mounting evidence of her failures, raises serious questions about his judgment and his ability to navigate the party through this storm. The timing couldn't be worse. Tulip Siddique's resignation from her Treasury role this month has sent shockwaves through the party. Siddique wasn't just another MP, she was part of Starmer's inner circle. Her departure amid a cloud of controversy over alleged family ties to corruption has thrown Labour into deeper turmoil. While the independent investigation cleared her of wrongdoing, the public perception is damning. It's another blow to Starmer's leadership and a glaring example of Labour's inability to keep its house in order. Meanwhile, Conservative MPs and commentators are having a field day. Andrew Griffith didn't mince words, calling Reeves' economic decisions a string of failures. He's not alone in his criticism. The public, already weary from years of economic mismanagement across the political spectrum, is losing patience with Labour's empty promises. Starmer can't afford to look weak in the face of these attacks, yet his inability to act decisively is only emboldening his critics. Labour MPs are growing restless, watching their election prospects dwindle as Reeves drags the party down. The real question is, what happens if Reeves goes? Does Labour pivot to a new economic strategy, or do they simply replace her with another figurehead while sticking to the same failing policies? Swapping Reeves for someone like McFadden or Streeting might buy Starmer some time, but it won't fix the underlying issues. The public isn't just angry about Reeves, they're angry about the party's broader inability to deliver on its promises. Labour needs more than a reshuffle, it needs a complete overhaul. But Starmer's hesitation to act is telling. His clinging to Reeves, likely out of fear that admitting her failure would reflect poorly on his own leadership. This is politics at its worst, self-preservation over the good of the country. The public sees right through it, and the longer Starmer waits to make a decision, the more damage he does to Labour's credibility. The clock is ticking, and Labour's window to regain trust is rapidly closing. This isn't just about Reeves or Starmer, it's about whether Labour can offer a viable alternative to the Tories. Right now, they're failing miserably. The economy is a mess. Confidence in Labour's ability to manage it is at an all-time low. And with the threat of Reform UK gaining traction, Labour can't afford to keep stumbling. The stakes couldn't be higher, and Starmer is running out of time to prove that he's capable of leading his party, let alone the country. The public is watching, and they're angry. Angry at Reeves' tax hikes. Angry at Labour's inaction on key issues like grooming gangs and corruption. Angry at Starmer's lack of leadership. This isn't just a crisis for Labour, it's a crisis for the entire political system. The question is, will Starmer rise to the occasion and make the tough choices, or will he let his party, and the country, continue to suffer under the weight of his indecision? Right now, the answer isn't looking good.